10-men Everton, just a second win in 33 Premier League visits to Old Trafford. And let's remind you why they were down to 10 men. Extraordinary, unusual circumstances with this incident between Michael Keane and Idrissa Gana Gueye. The correct decision in the end, but as I say, you don't see this very often on a Premier League football pitch.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's stupid, and you know, 9 times out of 10 that costs Everton tonight. So yeah, I'm sure David Moyes will take the right action required for it. But listen, sometimes it happens, and that's the emotion to the game, and you don't like to see it boil over that far, but sometimes that can happen, and Everton have got away with one, and I'm sure Gana Gueye will be, you know, really relieved that they've won the game.
Yeah, he'll be the most relieved man inside Old Trafford tonight. He's banned for 3 games as well now.
Yeah, it's plenty of punishment, isn't it? And you can well, you can't understand why. You can see why. I mean, he's tried to play the ball inside to Michael Keane. He's not really read it. And he's come over in quite an aggressive manner, waving his arms and thrashing his arms. And, of course, Michael's then confronted him, given him a little shove and another shove. So he's not to blame in any of this. However, you cannot condone, you know, raising the arm, slapping in the face. The rules suggest it's a red card. The referee's got no option.
And at that point, that was after 13 minutes, away at Old Trafford, who they've just won the last 4 there. Who would have predicted a 1-0 Everton win?
If not many people, if I'm being honest, but I think the way Everton conducted themselves and the game management of the game was very good. I thought first half especially, Barry, Grealish and Ndiaye were excellent in keeping hold of the ball for them. Dewsbury Hall as well. And second half, the work rate of the whole team, you know, the United were pushing them back and probably forcing it a bit too much, and Michael Keane and Tarkowski were editing everything out, and O'Brien as well. So I think it played into Everton's hands a little bit, but the work rate and the effort he put in to make sure they got the win was excellent.
Do you know what I've often thought as well? When teams go down to 10 men, a lot of managers go and take off their maverick player, their sort of skillful player that might be able to do something. I think in this situation, a lot of situations, they're actually the best players to keep on. You know, someone like Jack Grealish, give him the ball. He never loses the ball. He wins free kicks. He gains ground. He takes the sting out of the game. And Ndiaye the same. You know, and I just think that David Moyes needs a good deal of credit there, because, as I say, lots of people, all right, 10 men, let's take off the striker, let's take off the wide man, let's put another midfielder in or another defender in. But no, he kept some of the players that, you know, because you cannot, I know they've defended for a lot of the game there, but you cannot just sit on the edge of the box. You've got to have some form of threat. And leaving players like Dewsbury Hall on and some of those creative players actually worked in their favour, because they're the ones that give you a bit of a breather. So I thought David Moyes deserved a lot of credit there. And of course, he brings 1 or 2 players off at the end, bit of fresh legs. I get that. But I thought he did really well to keep the influential ball carriers on the pitch.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think you're seeing them going down with knocks and cramp and shows how much work they put in. But if you're just sat on the edge of your box, 9 times out of 10 you can see the goal. But the amount of free kicks Grealish won and Ndiaye keeping hold of the ball, I think Moyes, maybe a few years ago, will have taken someone off, but he's just used all his experience there, I thought, tonight. OK, let's go live to Old Trafford. Let's talk to James Tarkowski. He's got a big smile on his face, understandably so. Good to see you, James. I mean, what an effort. What a result that is.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. It made it a bit difficult for ourselves, but some performance, showed bravery, determination, fighting spirit, and, yeah, massive, massive result, that.
You did make it difficult for yourselves. What was your reading of the situation of the red card?
I didn't see it. I was walking away, to be honest. But then listening to Garner's just spoke after the game and apologised. And Garner's a very experienced player and very competitive and play at top level. And he's accepted that he's made mistakes. And he's made a mistake tonight. And Keane's accepted the apology. But we moved on from it quickly and played unbelievable. And so did Keane, to be fair, to deal with that and then crack on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of other teams would have let that affect them, but almost galvanised you tonight.
Yeah, it did a little bit, yeah, it did. Also, the game plan changed a little bit. We didn't want to dominate the ball a bit more than that, but defended unbelievably. Jordan made 2 or 3 massive saves, but then still had a bit of time on the ball. The goal was a good bit of play and then a great finish from Keane. And we had to try and get just a bit of time on the ball and a few spells just to kill the game a little bit, because otherwise we would have defended for the rest of the game.
James, it's Michael Owen. Well played tonight. I'm just wondering, you know, when you go down to 10 men like that and as a defender, does that actually almost focus your mind even more? Because you can't go out and play like you would have with 11 men, but you've almost focused your mind and then used your creative players sparingly. I thought it was a tactical, masterclass really from you guys.
Yeah, it probably makes the game plan simpler, really. We know we're going to have to defend and stay narrow, make the ball go wide, and I think me and Keane all love defending our box, and we sort of thrive on that, so it made our job a bit easier. And then we knew we had to give the ball to our creative players still, find the midfield four, hope that Barry or Beto held the ball up when it went into them, and I thought that everyone did a job tonight, and our creative players, when we needed them, created that chance to get the goal.
Hi James, Wayne Rooney. I just want to, on your creative players, on your Grealish, on your Njai, and Barry, who has had a lot of stick this season, I thought his hold-up play was excellent, and they were really important both when they got the ball, winning free kicks, but also the work rate he put in, getting back defensively, obviously to help you guys out.
Yeah, we needed them at both ends of the pitch. Some massive moments at the back post from Jack, and Illy was working the ball, and like he does, wriggles away from danger, winning fouls. And I thought Barry was excellent. The amount of headers he won, the amount of flick-ons he won, worked ever so hard and gave us a real outlet. And we needed every play. Even I thought even when the subs came on, to be fair, late on we were counter-attacking, getting the ball high up the pitch, and it just gives us that little bit of breather, so we weren't defending our box for the whole game.
And just finally, I mean, you've got back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets, and you've obviously defied history. You knew the club's record at Old Trafford. You've put that to bed now to move on and get a bit of consistency, momentum. What does it do for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think you see the league table, it's ever so tight up there, and we've just got to keep in contact with them and keep picking up points. We've got a real big run of games now, and then we can look forward to the weekend and hopefully keep picking up wins and stay right up near the top of the table.
Good to see you. Well done tonight. Thanks for speaking to us.
Cheers, fellas. Thank you.
That is James Tarkowski live from Old Trafford, who was talking about that goal from Keane in Dewsbury Hall. Let's have a look at it from an Everton point of view first, because you're not happy with United's defending. But lovely strike. He's got this in him, hasn't he? His second Premier League goal for Everton.
Yeah, he has. I think he's been excellent for Everton this season. His energy, his creativity as well. And then a good pass from James Garner, but then just that willingness to drive at defenders and make them make a decision. He gets a little bit of luck with the deflection, but then he gets a shot off. And it's a really good finish. Keeper should do a bit better, I think, but just that little pocket there, and James Garner coming off the play, Grealish holding the ball up for him, and a lovely pass through the lines, getting turned. A little bit of luck, and then it's a good finish, and he deserves it because I think his overall game was excellent.
From a United point of view?
Well, I mean, he picked up the most perfect position because he stood basically between a box of four players. If he goes close to one of them, then all of a sudden that player thinks, right, I'm the one to pick him up. Because he was equal distance away from everybody, very difficult, I suppose, for Manchester United players to think, right, who's going to go? I think Lenny Yoro should have pushed in. I mean, Manchester United have got extra players at the back. That's the whole point of having so many players at the back, that they can go and be aggressive. No point having spare men all the time at the back. And so I thought Manchester United, I think they'll be really disappointed with that. As I say, Yoro's got to then push in. There could have been a tackle. Yoro again got a little bit on it, but not quite enough. I mean, fantastic goal from Everton's point of view. They really worked it well, but I think Manchester United outnumbering Everton like they did. It's all right having numbers, but unless you're going to press the ball, unless you're going to make a challenge, unless you're going to get it tight, it doesn't matter if you've got extra numbers. And Manchester United are always safe. They've always got extra players. They play that back three, and half the time they're only marking one man. I often think, it's the easiest job in the world for a defender. You have one man, you've got to mark, with three players, you've got to mark them. And as soon as anyone comes near you, you still don't go even, and close them down. I'd be furious if I was a Manchester United manager. OK, well, let's get a Manchester United reaction. One of those defenders, here he is, Matthijs de Ligt.
Matthijs, what's your reaction to that? I imagine a lot of frustration.
Yeah, of course. I think the game says enough. Against 10 men for 70 minutes, conceding a goal, not creating that many chances. Today was not a good night for us.
Why do you think you weren't able to take advantage of having the game against 10 men for such a long time in that match?
Yeah, it's always difficult. Obviously, against 10 men, they drop a little bit more. They have 4 guys of 2 meters in the back, so crosses is going to be difficult. I think we lacked the patience to play between the lines, to play on the floor. Instead, I think we crossed a lot of balls, but obviously they are really strong in that aspect. So, but still, then we have to do much more than this.
There's been a lot good about Manchester United in recent weeks. It's felt like you've been making real progress. Did tonight feel like a step back from that?
I think in all aspects today felt like a step back. Not only the result, the intensity, the focus, the way, I don't know, the way we were fighting for each other, suffering for each other. Today felt definitely like a step back compared to the last weeks.
A step back, and probably a step back most didn't see coming, particularly against 10 men at home.
No, there's been good vibes at Manchester United over the last, few weeks, and all the messages coming out there. Everyone's happy, and with the performances, with the results, and they were certainly favourites to win the game tonight. And then obviously Everton going to 10 men, you think they're just going to kick on and win the game comfortably. But I think, as the Ligt just said there, they forced too many balls. They were crossing the ball at times when they didn't need to cross it. They stayed a bit more patient and pull Everton out of position. That was a big problem for them tonight, and I would like to see them change the system. I know Luke Shaw and Lenny Yoro were stepping in and trying to add an extra player in midfield, but when you're playing against and you've got one extra player, I think having a more creative player in a natural position, naturally in there, would have made the difference. So yeah, I think Ruben, Amorim and the Manchester United players will be very disappointed with tonight's performance. Before
the game, in the absence of Šeško and then Cunha, we had a deep discussion about Joshua Zirkzee. Ironically, a couple of headers, in fact, the three clear-cut chances in the second half all fell to him.
They did, and he could have scored, but I can't watch him and get excited, I must admit. I mean, Cunha missing today is a big blow. He was the closest to scoring for Manchester United.
That's a hell of a save, isn't it?
It's a fantastic save, but they're almost resorting to playing like this, Manchester United, just hopeful crosses because he's in there. I mean, if you've got Cunha playing, if you've got Fernandes playing a little bit higher, if you've got a different profile of player up there, you probably don't go, and just knock crosses in all game. And of course, one or two of them landed on the button, and they could have scored. Of course, they could have. But it's not really how Manchester United want to play. And I always think when you start just lumping the balls in, it almost becomes desperation. And as I say, there are a couple of headers there that went close. But I ask you this: if you were Everton, if you were David Moyes, what are the best aspects of your team? In terms of defensively, especially, I would be rubbing my hands together if someone says, right, they're going to knock the ball in when I've got Tarkowski, I've got Michael Keane, two of the best headers. They've got three of the biggest, best headers of the ball in any defence in the Premier League, and you've got Manchester United crossing the ball in every 2 minutes. As I say, one or two of them landed on Zirkzee's head. But I just feel that the way Manchester United are playing at the moment, prior to tonight, it's not the right profile of player. He doesn't excite me at all, does Zirkzee?
OK, we'll pick that up again in a moment after we've heard from the United manager. Here he is, Ruben Amorim.
Ruben, what are your thoughts after that game?
I think they were the better team with 11 players or 10. And I felt since the first minute that we were not there with the same intensity. So they deserve the win.
What was missing from your team this evening, do you feel?
The way to face the game, to understand that the other team help us with the send-off. What we need to do in every single moment of the game, if they have 10, let's push the opponent to the final third, to be near any transition, to be focused, really to be focused in the game.
In the second half, you had plenty of the ball, you had plenty of chances, but couldn't put them away. Did you feel as though you just needed something to drop in the back of the net? But when you did have a good effort, Pickford was in fine form, wasn't he?
Yeah, that can happen. But I think they look for the luck, and they deserve it. We need to do more.
You've been in good nick up until tonight, 5 games unbeaten. So does this feel like it's a big step backwards?
Yes, especially in the way we play the game. Forget about the results. The results is also really bad, but I'm more concerned with the feeling that I had during the game.
What's the situation with Cunha? What was the injury? What's the problem with him?
Let's recover Cunha and then we'll see if he'll be ready for the next game.
How pleased were you with the way that Josh Zirkzee led the line this evening?
He did all right, but I think everyone should play better tonight.
Obviously, your frustration is clear to see. What kind of things have you said to your players at the end of the game then?
Nothing. We have training tomorrow. I will deal with that tomorrow.
Thanks for your time, Ruben. Thank you. Cheers.
Well, Wayne, you can see how unhappy he is. And the obvious question that fans will want is, after being unbeaten in 5, and like you say, all the positive vibes, why at home against 10 men have they lacked intensity, in the manager's words?
Yeah, you don't know. I think you've had a lot of players away on international break as well who are flying back. So you don't have the time to work with the team that much. But so maybe that's a factor. But Michael knows well, sometimes you train against 10 men and it's very difficult to break down if they're organised well and you've got everyone working. It's difficult to break them down and get the clear-cut chances if they defend well and they work hard. So I think Man United's game plan had to change as well tonight when Everton went to 10 men. So they had to change the game plan on how they played the game, and they didn't do it well enough. They didn't, as the manager said, they didn't have that intensity, and that cutting edge, I think, was missing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that team and I just think it was going so well with certain players in certain positions. And today there were some important injuries. And if it's like for like, if you're still playing in the same type of way, then I think it can sort of work. But just, Cunha's a big miss. Those players that actually take the ball, that drive, that make runs, that are positive, that take risks. We highlighted something before the game. Manchester United a year ago and Manchester United in recent games. And actually, in the first 10 minutes, straight away, you could say, oh, my word, that's what we were just showing before the game in the short clips. Xerxes up front, very, very little movement, waiting for the ball. OK, a couple landed on his head and he had a couple of efforts. But that was going back 12 months, and that's not what Manchester United need to be doing. OK, the other side of the story, here he is. He's won at Old Trafford for the first time as a visiting manager at the 18th attempt. David Moyes.
David, congratulations. Just talk us through how proud you are of that performance tonight.
Well, incredibly proud of the players and the supporters here today, because we've had so many encounters here we've not got a result. We've come close a lot of times but not quite been able to go over the line. But tonight, incredibly, we got over the line with 10 men, which was probably the hardest way to get a good result here. Just talk me through your feelings when that full-time whistle went. Well, I felt actually for all the supporters who had made the journey, and obviously for long parts of the game we had to just sort of sit in and defend. I thought we started the game brilliantly well, passed the ball well, looked quite comfortable in lots of things we were doing. And then we got the sending off, which meant the sort of game changed. But, the resilience and the toughness behind the scenes at Everton was really good, and the players had to show that tonight. Is that the most pleasing part of tonight, the way that your side reacted to what did happen early on? Well, look, to go down to 10 men here outside, look, let's be fair, Manchester United are in pretty good form at the moment and playing much better. So it was never going to be an easy game for us tonight with 11 players. But to do it with 10 was an incredible job by the players. Fantastic. But good goalkeeping, good resilience defensively when we needed it. Boys were brave enough to try and take the ball at the right moment, certainly in the first half. Second half was much harder. But overall, it'd be very hard to fault them for how they played tonight. They were so good. There were two big moments really at the start. The fact that you lost your captain, Seamus Coleman. First of all, how is he? I was surprised because Seamus has played a few games, but it's just felt a nick in his hamstring. So that was it, and that happened very quickly. So that was a disruption to us as well. And then obviously the sending off as well. So those things happen in football. You have to cope with them. It's not easy at times to cope with them, especially losing a player. They're losing a player through a sending off. But look, the players done a brilliant job tonight in making sure that we got something from the game. What did you make of what happened with the red card? Because we don't see that very often. No, we don't, and I'm surprised. I think if nothing happened, I don't think MD in the stadium would have been surprised. I thought the referee could have maybe taken a little bit longer to think about it. Maybe just gone over and sorted it, had a think about it. I'm sort of getting told the rules of the game means if you slap even your own player or you lift an arm in some way, then you could be in trouble. But there's another side of it. I quite like my players fighting each other and getting annoyed with each other because it was a bad ball or someone didn't do the right action. I think that's part of it. If you want a winning team and you want that resilience and the toughness which got us the result, then I think you have to have players who are going to act that way. And I'm disappointed we get the sending off, but everybody will tell you we've all been footballers, and the ones who have been will tell you that quite often, you'll get angry with your teammates.
Well, Well, these two never got angry with anyone, obviously, but not each other anyway. We did obviously talk live to James Tarkowski. He was honest enough to say that Garner Gay has apologised, Michael Keane's accepted it, and they can move on.
Yeah, that'll be... the win helps.
I was going to say.
The win obviously helps, because if they don't win the game, then...
it's a bigger issue.
I think that Moyes' interview would have been a little bit different, but no, listen, it has brought them together. They fought for each other rather than fighting each other, which has got them over the line. So yeah, I think that'll be pushed under the carpet quite quickly, and they'll move on from now.
And that's all they can do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is an element of truth. You know, the successful teams are the ones that have a little bit of needle. They demand a lot from each other. So I do get what he's saying, but Wayne's right. I mean, that interview would have been so much different if they hadn't got the result. So they can smile about it now.
They certainly can.